Okay, hello everyone, and today I am joined by my good friend Veronika Lynne. I've known Veronica now for, well, at least half a year, probably a bit longer, and I've been following her. I've joined her Patreon, and she has an excellent Patreon where we dive into wonderful subjects like dream telepathy, and she has a wonderful resources there as well, where meditations and other things and spiritual resources. And also, she has a very exciting past, um, where she realized at some point in her life that she'd been part of some quite nefarious programs. And yeah, we've had some interesting chats about that in the past, definitely. So, Veronica, maybe you would like to just introduce yourself and share a little bit about these things.
Sure. Thank you, Roger. This is fun. I was looking forward to it. And yes, I think it's only been 6 months, but it feels like a couple years that we've been doing the work together. It's been so rewarding and eye-opening. Week by week, we're working in the dream space together on Patreon. You're in my dream advanced lab, which I'm looking forward to going into, and all of the data that we're getting and understanding of the dream world in a new sense. The dream world was a big part of my whole journey, all the way from my initial, I guess I'll call it my spiritual awakening, all the way until now, where it's unfolding even more to be not the realm we think it is. And my testimony, I go into great detail in my book, Out of Sight. It's easiest to find the link on my website, spacemystic.com. And this book details my first 10 years and then induction into a split consciousness program and my return and my life in general about how the memories came back. I go into great detail about memory recall, a very specific protocol that I went through for many months to put together a real timeline. And then after I published the book, I thought, okay, I'm done. I got through it and kept doing my work as working as psychic and meditation. And then I realized quite bluntly and shockingly that I was still being used as what I call a shadow agent.
Mm.
And I was still very much a part of a black budget program being used in a dissociative state around the world and in specific cities. And that's, I mean, that's kind of the short version. The what I found out about the dream world during this time, and realizing that the different agencies and I'll say occult societies and also factions of the government use the dream world as really a platform. It's a weapon. And so as I started to realize that, it prompted me to figure out how do we have sovereignty in this space.
Mm. Mm.
I'll see if there's any more shenanigans. Well, great. So yeah, I pressed publish on my book. I believe it was in March of last year, and I thought I was done. I was on the disclosure route. I was going to keep telling my story, keep working with clients, keep doing, creating content for my Patreon. And I found out pretty shockingly that, and it was only, how much later was it? Oh, things started to not add up. Even after that, after I published my book, it was soon after that that I started to see something was still not right. And came to find out that I was still being used as a what I call a shadow agent in a dissociative state that had which had been created as a child, and that I was still working on targets and missions around specific cities. And that's where I am now. That the what I found out about how I was being, I'll say, handled by these agencies and how they use the dream space, how they use out of body experiences, and they use this as a platform to work, to make war, to influence, to it's like they have almost in a sense, I heard someone call it like a lucid astral army. I really started to understand these realms in new ways, and that's where my research is going now, is what does the government know? What do these agencies know about the dream world? And how can we find out and also harness our power in this realm to find sovereignty there? And that's what you and
mm,
I are working on every
mm,
week together in the dream group on Patreon.
mm. Yeah, so like very, very important that to note also like for people listening, because there could be some people listening that are thinking, really, honestly, they attack our dream space. This sounds like too much sci-fi.
Yes.
But it's not, I mean, it's not just you, but like many people have been experiencing this, and even I have it experienced not on the same scale, but like on a little scale where I've seen certain things pop up in my dreams that make me go,
Mm-hmm.
as
Right.
well. So I think we should not be so naive as to think that, not that we should be in fear at all in any way, because this is the whole reason why we're doing this dream thing is that we can fight back and we can
Yes.
also protect ourselves in the dream space, which I think is very, very important. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for sharing that. I would like to maybe hop to a part of your life where you started to become aware, like more on a spiritual level, and how that
Yes.
like kind of affected how you saw your past as well.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great aspect to talk about. I don't talk about it as much as I'd like to. I'm always talking about the testimony and what
Mm,
happened to me, and but it does intertwine. I think for most of my life, I was very spiritually connected, like many of your listeners and even yourself, Roger, too, being connected to nature, having a empathy deeply for animals and for humans. And I had psychic abilities the whole time, ever since I was first, I'll say, altered with when I was a toddler, but I had those gifts, but I didn't realize they were gifts. I just would hear people's thoughts, right? But I wouldn't know. I had a largely, I went to church up until about 14 or 15, so I had a spiritual foundation. I left the church at that age from a deep questioning of some of the values. And then from that point on, as it happens in the modern world, I was pushing hard for career, for scholastic pursuits, not really spiritual per se. And then around 28 is when everything started. 27, 28. I was in the midst of a master's. I was getting a master's in vocal performance at one of the top schools in the country. And everything started to unravel, how the world just starts to unravel. Now, in my case, I saw it at the time as just having this wide, big psychic awakening. As many people do, we have that kind of, oh my gosh, all of a sudden your psychic gifts come online, you start meditating and reaching out. Mine was a little bit backwards in that, and not having told my story or my testimony, how to kind of go into it. But in the short version, all of a sudden psychic abilities popped on. I was hearing people's thoughts really, really loud. I was predicting things with
mm,
strangers, and having quite an awakening in this way. Um, After that, I started what a lot of people do is go into deep meditation, reading spiritual texts, started searching, and then life did become more spiritual. I was searching for answers, reading old texts, the Gnostic texts, the Egyptian texts. Everywhere I went, I was searching for meaning, started to connect to ancestors, angels. And then that progressed rapidly after a certain point when I was about, I think 37, when a new chapter and a new initiation started, and then it amplified even more. But that was kind of
Mm.
that those 8 years of really searching, meditating, really trying to find myself again amidst the, cold modern world.
So it was interesting to me that you said like you're kind of like your psychic gifts, they came online kind of first. So
Yes.
yeah, for
Yeah.
some people they have like a spiritual awakening and then they start reading and then like develop their psychic gifts. But I think it was quite interesting that you started using yours straight away.
Yeah, that's what kind of tipped um the whole issue for me was that
Mm.
how can you have these gifts and have not more there has to be some answers for these
Mm.
things that school's not teaching me. Um and in a more practical sense, what happened to me at that time is that as an asset that's being worked for, being used by the intelligence agencies, I was being prepped for my next target, my next tour, shall I say. So I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden these gifts came online that they had programmed and helped me nurture as a young child. So there is a little practical, but yeah, I've heard that. I've had some clients that out of the blue, they start having these intense psychic downloads and they don't know where it's coming
Mm.
from. And then we develop tools for managing them and harnessing them.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you said you had you started searching like and connecting to different like spiritual entities like angels and um yeah, could you maybe like go a bit in depth about some of your experiences there? Maybe some of your mistakes
Yeah.
even.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at some point I don't know what the trigger was. I'm trying to remember. Um, but there was a time where that the depth to the desire to want to connect with other beings became really powerful. Maybe around 34, I'm thinking. And I was watching a lot of wonderful online media, a lot of meditations. Channeling became a new thing, kind of all of a sudden it was really popping up. And I remember watching some figures that really inspired me. It was just to see the possibility of speaking with other entities and beings. And I really started to um, reach out but in an authentic way. I was trying not to be cavalier about what I was doing. But I remember starting to have a journal and starting to meditate and asking for communication to get deeper because I knew, as many of your listeners will know, they were bombarding me with signs for a couple years, signs everywhere, pointing me towards things and numbers or symbols, and it got to be so overwhelming that I said to them, I now need to know who you are. I get it. I see what's happening. And in order for me to keep doing this with you, whoever you are, I need to know who you are and what's going on. And what is it that you need from me? Why are you contacting? So I did that. I took it out of the book, my out of sight book. I had this incredible, all detailed out, but decided to do it for another book in
Mm.
Spiritual Awakening. But the really fascinating part was that I had been shown in a deep meditation, I had been shown a picture of this Rubenesque woman, and she was naked and like a painting, like a beautiful old painting, and she had red hair, and I thought because I had asked, "Who are you? Who are you? I need to know." And they sent me this picture, and I said, "I've seen that somewhere before." And I did some research and found that it was a famous painting of Andromeda.
Mm.
And so at the time, I don't think I mean, I don't think I was really that caught up on all the different, species and everything. So to me, it was a surprise. I was like, Andromedans? Well, what do they want from me? What is going on?
Mm,
And so that I slowly developed a relationship with them and developed some communication. And I have some old scribbles. I was looking for proof. I wanted scientific. If you're going to speak to me, um, why, and if people need to know it's real, why don't you send me some real things like scientific discoveries or predictions that no one else could know? And so I do have some journals filled with some really interesting scientific explanations about what's happening on our Earth, the relationship to
mm,
the sun and the magnetic fields. And so that's all been kind of private, but I developed that for quite a long time. And I have more info, but that's kind of the
mm.
beginning of that relationship there.
Okay, so this is intriguing, I must admit. So was it like mainly contact you feel that you're connecting through meditation, or did you also get dreams or anything?
Oh, that's a good question. Back then, at that point, um, this might have not been 34. I'm trying to get the years too. It's all a little mushy that time. But the at that point, I don't believe I was even really doing a lot of dream work. Like I always dream a lot, but I never was journaling. So I wouldn't know, I wouldn't remember.
Mm,
But it was mostly through, yes, this getting into a kind of deep trance state, like you would for remote viewing or psychic work, where you're very neutral, like there are no emotions, there are no, and you're basically like a radio tower, and mostly just the auditory download. And then some visuals were sent to me. Um, that was really the extent of our communication. And at some point, I did challenge them. So I can go more into that to prove I needed more proof that it
mm.
was them. So, but that was mostly it, auditory downloads and kind of speaking in that way.
So you said you mentioned something you got a picture like of Andromeda. Was it like
Yeah.
was it like a person?
Yeah,
Um
it's
like
a
a
famous
woman?
painting. Yeah, there's you can
Ah,
find it on the internet. It's a famous painting, red hair of Andromeda lying backwards on, I think, rocks. Um,
okay.
yeah, famous. I want to say French, but I could be wrong about that. I have it in my notes.
Ah, okay. So was it like bl a blue-skinned woman, or was it
She's in the no, they sent me the exact image of the painting, which is just a white
okay.
woman, like the myth of Andromeda.
Oh, okay, yeah, like in Greek myth or
Yes, yes. And so that I could locate it on the internet. That's they were
mm.
trying to, give me that data.
Ah, okay. So you didn't get like any you didn't get any visuals of what they actually could look like physically or
Later, very interesting. Later I did, but this was
mm,
way down the line, after I'd written or during my process of writing the book, of realizing that the Andromedans have had something to do with my incarnation here.
mm,
Um, and I did have some really interesting evidence, that proved to me that that was true, but that was later.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting actually.
Yeah.
It was, is there any of this like these things that they shared with you that you would like to share, or would you just like to keep
Mm.
that for yourself?
It was so long ago. I stopped contact with them actually.
Mm,
The I was starting to consider channeling and being a channel, that way, to offer advice, healing, scientific understandings. And I started. I've really just touched it lightly, and I decided I made the decision that I still needed to see them. That just like on down here in our 3D experience, where you, for me, to talk to a stranger and not see them, it
mm,
is, and to not know who they are, and to be downloading very sensitive information for other humans, I gave them a kind of not an ultimatum, but I said, if you want me to continue, I need to see you.
mm,
So whether that's like I need to see you if it's a experience, if it's a kind of quasi abduction or whatever it is. I need to know who I'm dealing with. Otherwise, I need to take a break from this and
mm,
you can wait until I'm ready, I guess. And nothing happened over the month. And I said, okay, I'm going to trust my intuition. So I've moved on completely from that aspect. I'm really not engaging in communication. And I trust that if it's real, that they will find a way to make it important enough to
mm,
where I have some validity of kind of getting on that platform and saying,
mm,
so that's the decision I made. Their wisdom was very practical. It was not flooded with emotion. There was none of our human emotions. When Dada would come, it was kind of cold. Sometimes it was a little blunt, trying to help us grasp what's the reality of our situation and what we
mm,
need to do. Yeah, like not a lot of human under like connection, if that makes sense.
mm,
A lot of them had like it was as if they hadn't incarnated here. And so they didn't,
mm,
it was a strange way of getting, data and being able to understand them. But it was helpful. I also got to the point where, and I can't remember, in some Patreon group I had a while ago, I remember saying that really I have more wisdom about how to thrive here than someone who has never incarnated here.
mm,
So I tried to get into my power and my sovereignty by saying, I actually know how to survive and thrive here and overcome things and become sovereign. And my wisdom, I think, is even more powerful than theirs.
mm,
And I try to embody that so that I can be a beacon. Because I don't know if I met them face to face, I might tell them a thing or two
mm,
about what it means to be human and
mm,
how to navigate this beautiful density and learn how to manifest and overcome wonderful, dense, also awful obstacles and find your power from them. So that's
mm.
kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah, no, I think it's fascinating because like I've been thinking about this myself. I'm thinking about the whole area of sovereignty, what you're talking about. It's so important. And I think, that yeah, it's quite possible that you have like a connection to the Andromedans, or maybe you have had a past life as an Andromedan before. um, as like many of us could have had, or with Palladians or Syrians, whatever.
Mhm.
But I think I have this theory that they probably sent the best of us down here.
Yeah, the stuff.
They sent the badasses, you know.
Yeah.
So those that would be like, well, we're first be crazy enough to want to incarnate on
Right.
Earth, but also the fact that, yeah, that we thought that we could navigate like the whole thing of human feelings and human
Yeah.
deception, not knowing if we would probably ever wake up. And then, I feel like I
Yeah.
woke up very, very late, um,
Mm, mm,
but yeah, I think that I think that those that are following us, they probably realize this as well. And
mhm.
maybe it's the case that they just hang in the background, and then the intuition you get, maybe some of the intuition you get is from them, maybe it's from creator source, maybe it's from angels, maybe it's from higher dimensionals, and maybe it's just your higher self. So I think it can be a combination of all these things. And
Oh, yes.
I think sovereignty is like knowing, where to tap into, and to make sure that you yeah, in your soul, deep in your soul, that you can get on board with what's being said. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Yes, the big movement of star seeds and the ideology that we came here to help humanity. is a wonderful one. And I always add that we're also here for our own journey. We're here to experience and to also learn the wisdom that comes from being a human. So even I've said before to some clients, yes, that you have this starseed lineage, okay, that's great, but you are human right now. And a million years later, you might say, oh yes, I have the human, I also have the human DNA. And what did you learn? What wisdom did you gain from being in this flesh and blood? And I definitely believe we have helpers. I and there could be soul family and all of these things. For me right now, I'm not looking for that connection because I look at it with the analogy that with a child, just as if you have a child, your greatest desire, if you're a decent parent, I guess, is that when they're older, when they're 18, 19, that they're able to be self-sufficient and they're able to figure it out on your own. There's nothing better, than wow,
Mm,
I can't believe that they absorbed all this wisdom. And I think our soul family and higher selves are doing the same thing.
mm,
They're going to help us, but they're not going to hold our hands and fix all our problems
mm,
and push us to the 5D. I don't believe that. I think they want us to find our power here in the
mm,
densest of densities, right? Or so it feels many days. So that's where I'm at. I'm not
mm.
reaching out right now. And maybe I will at a later chapter. But right now, I'm trying to embody total sovereignty,
Mm.
every step, every thought.
Yeah, and I think that's very important because I was reminded, like, when you were talking about something that Alex Collier said, and he says,
Yeah,
like, he actually thinks that we need as humanity a time on Earth where we're just allowed to find out what we really want.
yeah,
what is it that we want as human? We've had extraterrestrial history and contact, sometimes hidden and sometimes in the open, depending on how many thousand years you want to go back, in history. But, he thinks it's important now that in this time of disclosure that we as human beings, no matter what kind of lineage we have, that we as humans at this time right now, incarnated right now, that we decide and we find out what do we really want? How do we want to see the world? How do we want to see human relationships? How do we want to see, the world develop, as a peaceful society? And of course,
yeah.
eventually we will be officially interstellar, even though we are now just hidden.
Yes,
But
that's right.
yeah, it become official at some point. But yeah, very, very important with the sovereignty and I think that you're embodying that with your Patreon group at the moment, and also you're um, digging into the dream world and using what you've learned from your past experience in the programs. So maybe we can move on to that and talk about how did you I know that you were influenced in your dreams, but how did you figure out that you could switch the roles, like you could be the one in control, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a big journey, but I'm wondering how far to wind it back. But to answer that question, ultimately, it's about this attitude that um, that I've stepped into after realizing my whole life was largely influenced and shaped and programmed. That the only way I would escape is if I truly stepped into my power, and which also embodies some of the warrior uh, uh, power, which is not, I'll say it's not all love and light when you need to become a warrior. And so daily stepping into um, courage into being okay to face obstacles, not running away, not believing any beliefs or ideologies that are out there that we can escape, that we're going to escape this density. We're going to be saved. We're going to with instead of that, I replace it with I'm going to save myself right now, every day. I choose how I vibrate. I choose my emotions. And that's after many years of work. But stepping into that ultimately and making a real decision to not fear anymore. I mean, it's a lifelong journey, but there's a point where it switches. And when when that is felt in the universe, something happens. There's a what's that called when it floods over like a there's a point where the universe says, "Oh, okay."
Mm.
Starts creating situations where you don't need so much fear. You don't need to learn from it anymore. And my dream space changed because there was so much fear there from trauma and programming, and the the I'll call them altars that live there, and we all have. I'm writing, starting a book, and I was just writing about it today that I really believe that we have almost like a double in the dream world, that we were split a long time ago, and that this double also will be grappling with these things, fear, whatever, what all the normal energies. And when they start to feel that your conscious mind, when you're awake, is really, really starting to harness and get rid of fear and replace it with power, courage, um, and grit, then the subconscious mind starts to shift in the dream world. And that altar, I'll call it, starts to behave without any limits. And so that's kind of the big um, answer to that question, but it's a long journey.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So, for example, I was like talking to some people, way back not so long ago, and we got into the subject of this Netflix series called Stranger Things, and the
Don't get me
whole,
started.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I said, it's based on real programs. It's based on,
Hmm.
MK Ultra, which was a real program. Um, and also, you mentioned it yourself about alters. So
Hmm.
maybe you could just explain, basically what the mind control programming
Sure.
was all about and how they create alters.
Sure. Yeah. And this one goes back all the way to my toddler years, and it's in my book. I found as much evidence as I could that it's real. And this is based off of months and months of memory work and trying to be very do this with integrity. But the programming that I went through was at a very young age in the Bay Area in California. When a mind fracturing process is done before, if it's done before the age of 5, it's very effective. It was down to a science by the time I came into the programs. And it's largely done through hypnosis. And then when you're in the hypnotic state, then if they put any kind of traumatic event, the the hypnotic state fragments and essentially can be programmed to become a different personality, and used in that dissociative state. So, and this is well detailed in George Estabrook's book Hypnosis, very controversial book, but he explains the exact science of it and how it was done. And then so forever onwards, they can take you into that hypnotic state with trigger words. And you're not hypnotic where you're sleepy. You're trained so that those trigger words, you go into a dissociative state and you're whoever they want created you to be, a spy or whatever it is, assassin, a honeypot, or who knows, a cult ritual bearer, these kinds of things. It's Once it's done and cemented, it usually stays with you. for most of your life, but as I've seen with myself and clients, that the programming can slip if there's not active reprogramming happening by handlers. Um, and so it can start to crack, and usually you get retired at some point. Um, and of course, all of this, when you have a fractured state, so you can call that hypnotic dissociative state, it's known as an alter in this community, an alternative. Um, and that's why it's trauma-based mind control. The trauma, we have the ability to dissociate from the trauma. All of us do it. If you're bullied at school, if you're hurt by your parents, there's things that will dissociate that we don't have to remember all the pain. And so they just capitalized on the beauty of the brain and turned it into this program where they can dissociate your mind and fragment it and program it. Um, why would they do this? It's obvious. Intelligence agencies can use you in a dissociative state, put you back into your normal state, and you have no memory. You have no memory. And you're also sometimes more effective in your altered state because you don't have the societal restrictions in your dissociative self that you do that here. Like, I have a lot of societal conditionings here, but your alter does not. It's completely an asset for them. Or if you create an alter out of trauma, this also happens with clients with DID, where if sometimes you're not programmed, but if you suffered a lot of trauma as a child, you can also have alters that are just fragmented parts of yourself. So that's kind of the gist of it. The bringing it back to the, were we talking about the dream world or the how the alters work there, or not quite yet?
No, we haven't got that far, but yeah. Um, yeah, so about like how these altars, how so I was wondering how did you experience because I guess if you were activated, your altar was activated, you would normally not remember, right? Or would you
Right.
remember like after it happened? How does that work?
I think that what actually happens is strange. I think that when they program you to forget or you go back, I actually think it takes some days for you to forget. It's a very strange process. However, after that, you have no memory. Often people will remember strange things that happened because of that time. They'll say, like, wait, why do I have, well, for example, I mean, mine is a pretty long story, but they'll remember things that are not right. Like, wait a second, what was my they won't make sense. Like, why do I have this giant bruise? Why am I so sore
Yeah, so
this
like
morning?
missing
Like
time
those
and
kind of
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
Missing time, and also for me, I had cops come to my door once. It was a huge awakening moment when I looked back because they were certain I had been somewhere and I
Mm.
was certain I hadn't. And so that kind of stuff, when you put all the pieces together later in life, you go, oh wow, that's what happened.
Yeah, okay. So at the same time, like you know that they were maybe using you in a dream state, um, so that you were actually also being used physically as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It started at 18 was when it really started to amp up. Everything before that was training, conditioning, and also, nefarious stuff like sex work and in
Mm.
certain rings, to prepare you as an asset for later. And from 18 to, I mean, I guess maybe a few months ago, they were using me. I traveled the world. I was a freelance artist, so that they could send me anywhere. They can, usually at night is when any kind of missions or targets happen, or there might just be a love bite situation where they have someone fall in love with you, and there's lots of different types of missions and targets, but yeah, they use you. all the way through, and you really have no memory. You think you're just living a normal life. It's kind of strange, but normal life.
Yeah, because I'm kind of wondering, because like maybe there are people like watching this that are thinking, I've had like similar experiences. I've had missing time, or I've woken up with
Mm,
bruises, and I don't know where they came from. So maybe
yeah.
like this can be in some way can maybe help people
Yes.
try to figure out, begin to go down the rabbit hole if they have the strength to
Absolutely.
do that at this time. But yeah.
There are quite a few of these kind of civilian shadow agents. You can also the most important work is to do memory protocol work. And I'm just recording before you and I were together. I was like, I have to get this down. My clients are asking for my specific memory protocol. It's based on um, using the the capacities of the brain to gather subconscious data, which can be memories, what if you're remote viewing, if you're doing psychic, or if you're trying to see the future. It's all the same brain waves. And you use that brain waves and put it in your memory journal. And it's a very authentic way because you you want to be careful before calling yourself an asset. And then if it's not true, your mind doesn't know it, but if you keep saying it, you can go down a rabbit hole. Um, and It's really good to be very picky about memory recall. I'll send that to you, Roger. Hopefully I can get
Mm,
it to you if people are checking it out. And I also do, as you know, the memory recall sessions to help you understand. I work with so many clients, they have so much data, and it's so important to condense it and get it ordered and put it on paper.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's really good because like sometimes you just like you begin with a hunch, so
yeah,
I started doing like Tony's recall course, and I went
yeah,
through that, and then I was kind of like the hunch was definitely there. So I think I've had like a few sessions with you, and I think it's
yeah,
really helped me to definitely begin the process of looking at what could be memories and what isn't.
yeah,
So I think it's
yeah,
really, really useful. And
yeah,
also to figure out like what has some powerful, vivid dreams and things like that. So which of those dreams could be
right.
linked to for a program, for example, or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a whole wonderful subject, dreams and memories, how it works.
Mm,
Yeah. Um, wow. Yeah, um it's helpful to look at your memories and inklings and hunches and any of that and um, put it try to look at it in the most flesh and blood simple 3D way without jumping to, well, I must have time traveled and was um, I must have been in the Montauk chair because that's what I saw. Instead, it's really important for your subconscious will give you what you're kind of searching for. So if you're searching for the real story of your life, making it as dense as you can. Okay, well, from 10 to 11 I was here. So and really making it make sense. Um, and then your subconscious will start sending you real data so that you can, find out your real story. Um, so that's kind of the work we're going in. And dreams play a role in that, absolutely, in memory work as well.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one thing that you said that really helped me to try and figure some things out is to find out what was happening in your like waking life, what your con what
Yes.
yeah, it's hard to describe, but your like normal in inverted commas life on Earth, and make a timeline of that, and then maybe some of the weirdest things or the strangest things that happen in your real life, they might like parallel to what happened in a program, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like your memory of the, if I can say it on air
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
the
sure. I mean,
of
it's
the
out
this
there,
out
so
of body experience, jumping over a car that was going to hit
mm,
you, around 9 or 10, when this is a very suspicious time to have activity like that if you're being inducted into programs,
mm,
and probing that and learning data from that memory, um, is such a powerful process. And then the dreams. So then, for example, if you remember that weird instance and you're like, well, I was 10 years old. And then if you're able to log your dreams and you see, wait, and you see how old you are in the dreams, you create a dream timeline, you'll start to see, oh, wow, wait, all the dreams where I was kind of 9, 10, 11, I was in that bus. What is that black bus thing that was driving? And then you say, oh my God, that was related to that time and then the dreams will, validate your pieces of memories that you have. It's such a great, and the way that the dreams, it's worth mentioning. I have a whole video on it on Patreon on the Dream Alchemist journey, but it seems that the dreams place subconscious breadcrumbs. So it might be many memories smashed into one, and then the little details mean something. Like you found out, Roger, with location, it might help you find. Rarely, 5% of dreams are actual verbatim memories. So that's really important for people to know, because that can send you down a crazy rabbit hole.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, very good. Um, so in the group, we've been talking about the importance of being like, oh, I don't know, conscious or lucid in dreams.
right,
Um, I know from my own experience, like the least frustrating dreams are the ones where I'm in some way lucid, or
right.
where you can actually control the narrative, or um, so what's your feeling about dreams and lucidity and
Mm.
yeah.
I think that we keep circling back that no matter what we're testing, it seems that the dreams where we become more aware of our surroundings and what's happening, um, that this is where real work gets done and where protection can happen, changing the construct, exploring what you want to explore, exposing any agendas that are happening in the dream space all happen when you're lucid, or there's lots of semi-lucidity that happens as well. And if that's also valid. And there are real lucid dreaming masters. And I've experienced a lot of those dreams, a lot of also semi-lucid dreams. The interesting part, I'm still doing a lot of research on it and there are experiments too. Because I remember reading in a book that lucidity is very important and that the ultimate goal is to become lucid all the time. So that, like, this would be like a
Mm.
super yogi, that literally as you're falling asleep, your conscious mind doesn't shut off like in a wake back to bed technique. And with under Stephen LaBerge's research, and then you just fall into lucidity for the whole dream. And that's the ultimate goal. Read this like very lovely spiritual book. I don't know. It might be possible, but I also don't like to put these gigantic pressures on us as these humans that are dealing with a lot of BS right now. Like, and it's very dense, and we are here to really transform and be moving, trying to move us and our earth in a new way. So I don't know if it's necessarily crucial to be lucid all the time. I think your dream double does a lot of work, whether you're lucid or not.
Mm.
And you can learn to communicate with your subconscious so that the work is doing what your conscious mind also needs. But everyone in my groups are becoming having more of these moments. Recently, my other dreamers, like just this morning, one said, I realized I had a dream within a dream. I woke up both times
Mm.
that I woke up from the dream and then I was in a dream and I woke up again. And even another dreamer, I realized I woke up and I was like, what is this construct? And it was very powerful to wake up and say, where am I? What is this? Is this my dream space? Or is it also a construct that's been put on us? And I have a lot of fun information, a lot of disclosure about that, about is our dream world really fabrication, a platform that's being used by entities or uh, even technological entities that are trying to keep us ensnared in this zombie-like state, both
Mm.
waking, but especially in our dream space. Um, One juicy thing I could add, just because it came up earlier when you were talking, was with Stranger Things.
Mm.
There's no coincidence that that big scene with, I think it was the Demogorgon, the really big monster, and how he attacks them in the mall there. They're in a giant mall. And if you follow any of the TikTok, or I think it's on Instagram too, the mall world phenomena, that people are realizing they're dreaming up a fake construct and it's all the same. It's a mall, it's bathrooms that are strange. I've had a lot of dreamers recently dream that, and realizing that it's this construct. Well, but of course, so the Stranger Things are going to put these kids in this construct that they're trying to, break out of. So um, that's my research. I'm really trying to find out, where are we as dreamers? And it doesn't mean everyone's in the same place. This might be getting too advanced, but some of us might be in black budget programs in the dream space working. I've heard like Donald Marshall, his research is very dark, where some people are taken into slavery. His is very dark. Some of us maybe we're in a platform where they just keep us kind of contained. Some of us have escaped and are using the dream space as a prolific ground to manifest, to explore, to meet other beings. So I think it's a wide range, but in any respect, in every respect, it is not just an imagination place to sort out the day's problems. You know, um, I think it's as varied as it is here in our waking life.
Yeah, and I think that there is in our like search to become like sovereign and free and to know what we want. So I think if we know what we want in our conscious waking hours, that will actually at some point that will spill over to the dream state, and then we can
Yes.
learn to be conscious and sovereign in our dream state. So I think that lucidity can help, but I think also if we are acknowledging our sovereignty, that can actually our higher selves can take over in the dream state
Hmm.
and just like metaphorically kick ass.
Yes, exactly it.
Yeah.
Exactly. We do have to there. We have to be not pacifists, in this space. And I think waking too, really fighting to keep negative entities and agencies out of our mental space is very, and rewiring, reprogramming ourselves. Um, yeah, and it's like you said, and I think the dream space, it's like a double. So mine, I think that my double there was a bit more, I've never even verbalized this, but I think that my dream double was a bit more clear than maybe most people's, because I was fragmented. So those alters really lived it up there in the dream world, and they created a lot of havoc there too. But as soon as I started to integrate those fragmented parts in this life, in this waking life, they also started to work with me there, and they kicked some ass.
Mm.
I haven't spoken about it yet, but there were handlers that were programming me through my dreams. And they were
mm,
prolific dream agents that had been taught. They had there's a technology and a protocol for how to influence and invade people's dreams, just like in, I guess, Inception is kind of similar, the
mm.
movie. But you and I, Roger,
Documentary.
have, yes, yeah. That's right. A documentary. It's true. And you and I have seen it in our dream groups. We can telepathically influence each other's dreams. And so if it's negative, this also can be done. So you have to kick ass. You have to be meaner and bigger than the boogeyman that can be in your dreams.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like in these groups that we have, I think there's strength in numbers. Because yeah, of course
Mm.
you can do it yourself and be sovereign, but I think as like in our little group of like we have four of us and you have other groups as well, I know. But
Yeah.
I think I've like since I've joined you, I've noticed like an empowerment in my dreams that my dreams have become more and more empowered. And I
Yeah.
realize that I'm becoming more sovereign in my dreams
Wow.
and able that and that's like spilling over to my waking life where
Yeah.
it affects my relationships as well. So I'm being more sovereign
Yeah.
in relationships and in groups and things like that, and even like surprising myself with some of the things
Yeah.
I've said to people that which had to be said.
Wow. Wow. Yes, and that's a huge point to make is that the dream space directly affects your waking life. And so if we can learn how to plant seeds there for each other or as in or but for ourselves, whatever you plant there can manifest in your waking. It's so powerful for healing and empowerment. Um, and I had something else to say, but I'm forgetting at the moment. Yeah, so many things go through my head when you're
Mm.
speaking, and then I need to write them all down. I forget.
Yeah.
But yes, oh, that's what it was. Yeah, and we've met each other in our dreams.
Yes,
That was
yes. It's kind of
yeah,
funny. And also like
yeah,
the whole idea of a dream telepathy, we've been trying to
yeah,
send well, we it's actually worked that we've sent pictures to each other and the way
yeah.
we interpret it is unique, but there's definitely been like the interpretation there which has like been amazing. There's
Yeah, it's
yeah.
hard to describe to people the profundity of that. I tell
Mm,
people, when sometimes, and yeah, maybe it's hard if you haven't experienced it for yourself to
mm,
have your dreams influenced. And you would also mention about being in groups. You're right. Having a dream team there where you're all connecting in the quantum or whatever you want to call it, you are stronger there. We're fighting for each other in that space. And so I think everyone should have a dream group, but
mm,
that's my biased opinion. And it's hard. It's hard for me to emphasize that enough that the dream realm is used undoubtedly by occult societies, intelligence agencies, and certain armed
mm,
forces factions. They have figured out this plane, how to use it, how to I have tons of research on Instagram and my Patreon about how they know how to influence our dreams to make us do things in the waking day. They use it to also for there's probably good things they use it for too for like if they're using it for humanity, if there's a war that they're fighting.
mm,
But regardless, w- we should have access to that
mm,
capacity as well. And also the occult societies also are very advanced in this realm as well. And also entities are working here very much, both benevolent and negative. And so to learn how to block and keep things out or that are hurting us and not something we really came in to deal with, and bringing in positive beings is
mm.
important too. And we're kind of just stepping into that in
Yeah.
our groups.
Yeah, and I think like disclosure, disclosure is many things, and I know we may get some disclosure I think we will get some more and more disclosure as we go into 2026. But
Mhm.
something tells me that, especially when it comes to the dream state and that, I think that's probably going to be one of the last areas that they're going to want to tell us about. I think we're going to just have to push and push. We're the ones
Yeah.
that are going to have to push for that and tell people about that and help people to
Mhm.
get through that, because I don't think it's going to come as an official, by the way, we've been doing this.
Right. Yeah, I don't. I mean,
Sorry.
it's in the, yeah, oh yeah, sorry about that. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's all over the movies. Um,
Mm.
what
They
the
have to tell
interest,
us, but so they do it through movies
yes,
and
it's
films.
a
Yeah,
takes away some of the whatever it is, karmic guilt or
yeah.
punishment when they die. Those, I've heard that from
Well, they think
satanic
that. I'm not
cults.
sure that's true, but they think that.
It's very interesting, or at least they get a great laugh.
Yeah.
I watch Stranger Things. I'm kind of revisiting it now. I watched it once. It was hard enough, but now that I know who I am and I'm watching through it and it makes me irritated because it's also a laugh. It's like, look at these humans watching what we're doing to them and they're entertained by it. They're paying for it from their hard-earned money that we make them go do, and they're watching the torment that we actually inflict upon humanity, and it's their entertainment. I mean, there's no
Mm,
greater farce, for somebody who's truly evil.
mm,
But the dream, and also if you'll notice, the a big red flag for me was the nature of dreaming. In almost every movie, it's always in a horror or a
mm,
thriller movie, dark, dark, ominous. Oh, he's dreaming the future. The killer's coming, like that kind of thing. And so we've been programmed to also subconsciously push it away. It's like, oh, we don't realize how strong the programming is
mm.
in the movies. Um, and I've done a lot of research on the ancients and how they, looked at the dream world. It was a very different relationship. And also, who knows, they might have been healthier with less toxins. It might have been easier to dream, and more of a part of their daily life than it is for us. For us, it's just a byproduct of sleep, as opposed to entrance into a powerful realm.
Yeah, and like I think that we just we've forgotten
Yeah.
the art of dream time. I mean,
Of
when you look
dreaming.
at the original Australians, how like dream time is such an important
Yes.
of their it's just as important as their waking life, if not more important.
Mhm.
It's so important, and they also, they seem to remember contact with, previous extraterrestrial civilizations thousands and thousands of years ago. They
Wow.
still have it
Wow.
in their cultures. It's like so.
Mm.
It seems like we that of Caucasian and European descent, we've kind of like forgotten who we really are,
Oh, yeah.
and it's all about remembering, I think.
It is. Yeah. And I always go back. I bring it up all the time. I was researching it again today about the myth of Zeus splitting humans down the middle. That we used to have four arms and four legs, but we were too powerful. So he split us down the middle. And now we know myths have a ring of truth. And if there's any truth to that, we're split in two. Maybe we have many multidimensional selves. This gets, for me, in a realm that gets too complicated. It's right now I'm trying to figure out this one and my dreaming one.
Mm,
And it would seem, if the myth is correct, wouldn't it seem that that's where they live? One in this waking kind of strange reality, and another in what we call sleep, where the body's asleep, the mind is still awake, and we search for each other. That's what he sought. We would forever search for each other, he said, wanting to be whole again. And indeed, everything wants to come back to its whole state, where all of the universe is designed, if you look out at nature, to become healed and whole again, to become efficient and strong and pass our DNA down. And I think that the conscious mind wants to access the wisdom and gifts and all from the subconscious mind. That's why in our waking life we're looking for right now we're all there's a huge movement of trying of getting our psychic gifts online, of being more attuned to the data stream of what feel like a divine connection and divine downloads and things like that. And I also think the subconscious mind in the dream world, at least that's how I look at it. I don't think scientifically it's looked that way, but how I've lived it is, the subconscious mind living largely in this dream realm also wants to gather wisdom from the conscious self and wants to learn how to live in a bit of a linear way to experience it, right? So that's where the memory work comes together, where the subconscious starts saying, okay. Oh, you want it that. Oh, that's interesting. Yes, let's make sense of all this kind of mystical mess that's been over here and let's send you the right data. And so it's really interesting. I'm starting to see the dream space as a real self. And with my other group I just met with, I was going to tell you, Roger, I had asked them to journal about kind of getting to know their dream self. Who are they? What have they done? What do they know? How are they different from you? What strengths do they have that you don't have here? Because mine are extremely powerful. And recently I told you, I was able to become quite a terrifying monster to get some of these agencies out and entities out of my dream space. And of course, my waking self here has, you know, way more societal restrictions to keep me in a different state. So exploring your dream space as if it's real and if you have a real self there ready, waiting for you, I think is important.
Mm. Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, I definitely think that, in my dream space, I've become and definitely there's been some dreams
Yeah.
where I've done some stuff that has felt very empowering,
Oh,
very
yeah.
powerful, like fighting back, you could say.
Your fighting, the recent one was
Um,
amazing, and maybe has elements of a memory too, right? Because there's
yeah, yeah, there
a
could
little
be
subconscious
something
crumbs.
there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Well,
people, that feeling is wonderful. Yeah,
mm.
we're all growing together in the dream space.
Yeah, so that would be my encouragement. Anyone watching that is like thinking, there's definitely
Yeah,
something going on in my dreams, or I could definitely use some backup. Then,
yeah,
I just want to recommend Veronica's Patreon. I think you can sign up as a free Patreon to start off with, just to peep, and then you have different
yeah.
levels as well of membership. So everyone can be a part of that if they want to. So I just recommend that. So what I'll do is I'll put all the links of your social media, of your Patreon in
Sure.
the in your
Yeah.
bio if anyone
Hmm.
wants to contact you as well.
That's great.
So,
Thank you.
we're coming up to, we've just gone over an hour now, so I'm wondering
Yeah,
we'll
it's
probably
great.
end it here and
Yeah.
maybe is there anything you want to like share at the end? Maybe any hope that you have for 2026 or any things that you've
Mm.
maybe intuitively have intuitively come to you that we could maybe look forward to in 2026?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for 2026. I don't think that it's for the faint of heart. So I think that if you're able to take time for yourself to remember that part of yourself that is formidable, that is strong, wise, if putting on this wonderful armor, I think it's gonna be a wonderful ride. I think it'll be like a roller coaster, the fear that you have coming up and you're screaming as you're going down, and then you have this glorious adrenaline. I think for those people that are kind of ready for the fall, ready to kind of plunge into new. chapters and not be afraid and like really the thrill is good, but like deleting the fear, the programming, the wailing over Earth events, the feeling that that being rigid in any belief or ideology, um, really starting to um, navigate with acceptance and with forging bravely. I think it's going to be an exciting year. Um, it's dense. It's dense, but I think if you enjoy the challenge that it like a warrior does when they see an opponent that's worthy, they've like, I've been waiting my whole life to fight you.
Mhm.
That's the energy to go in with. I think there's disclosure, that what I saw when I was dipping in is um like a lot of psychological ops happening. So not putting too much faith in any media outsource, anything that you see, still following people you trust, being very wary where you're getting your information. I only have a few that I listen to, and and that I trust. Everything else for me is I see it. It's a programming. It's not that it's false, but they're being manipulated by an agency. You have to be very careful. Um, so be wary of that. A lot of ops, a lot of psychological ops to get you unstable, and um, so having a little bit of a um, ballsy attitude. I want to say, I don't want to be crass, but like you have a FU attitude, of like, no, this is my goal. This is what I want in this life. This is what I want. Goodbye. And they keep coming at you, and you keep battling them away, and stay focused and determined. Um, but it's exciting. I think it's going to be a good year. I think it's going to be um like I don't know how to describe it. It looks like there looks like a lot. Some people that if you choose suffering, there's plenty to suffer over next year. And if you choose instead of like grit and ferocious uh, protection and being devoted to you and your loved ones and your path, I see it being really great.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look
Mm.
forward. I'm already putting on my armor and getting my sword ready and
Me too,
I
every
love a
day.
battle. I love it.
Me too. Yeah. And you go through waves, sometimes you need to have a little pity party and,
Mm,
but ripping yourself out of it as fast as possible.
mm,
Having community in the dreams has helped me a lot
mm.
to
Yeah.
have these souls mingling with you on this journey.
Mm,
I wanted to mention that the dream groups on Patreon are closed. It's just because I like to meet people
mm,
before bringing them in, make sure it's safe because I have to keep that area safe since we're in each other's dream space, which is very
mm.
intimate
Of
and
course.
personal. So if you join the Genesis tier, and you can look at the Dream Alchemist journey under collections and just kind of get to know my work and reach out and we'll talk about which group would be good for you and we'll get you settled.
Mm.
Join our dream adventures.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely can recommend it. Well, thanks,
Great.
Veronica. It's been really great and wonderful having a chat with you. And just feeling your passion there about the whole the dream space and what it means for us and
Great.
also going forward. That's really awesome.
Yeah. My pleasure. This is
Yeah.
fun. I hope we can do it again.
Yes, we will. We will do it again.
All
Okay. Thank
right.
you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a beautiful night there.
You too.